Welcome back to the Center on Buffalo podcast. Our guest this week needs no introduction. He's a friend of the podcast, and that is Ryan Fitzpatrick. Welcome back to the Center on Buffalo podcast, Fitzy.
I mean, this is what, 3-4 times now, Eric? This is great, man.
So once we get the sponsors big enough, we'll have like a weekly or anytime the Bills play someone that you played for, we'll get it sponsored and you'll actually get paid for these appearances. Right now, you're just, I guess, repaying me for the many shots I took to the head.
Don't worry. You don't got to pay me anything. It's all good. I'm curious, if you straightened your hair right now, would it be longer than mine? Yeah, for sure. Oh, my goodness. Okay.
I'm trying to get it in line with the background. That'll entice the people that are just listening on podcasts to subscribe to the YouTube channel to see the 7 inches of hair I have right now. But your hair is strong right now.
It's kind of the off-season do, once I start or stop cutting it and having to be on TV or doing whatever, it just kind of continues to grow up and out. So, I probably need a haircut.
I tried to grow a mullet one year and it just kept growing out and out. So it never would go down. And then I was in the middle of a contract negotiation with the Bills, like going into my 5th year. Yeah. So after my 4th season, and Doug Marrone walked up to me. He's like, "Hey, you look like an idiot. You should get a haircut." And I'm like, "Thanks, Doug." Like, does that help these contract negotiations move smoother, or what are we doing here? So I eventually got a haircut.
I just saw Doug in an elevator for one of the games. I think he was coaching for the Saints this year. And the last time I had seen him was in his office right before I got cut, when he was talking to me about how excited they were to have me and, new regime and all this stuff. And then I never talked to him again. So it was nice seeing him. Pleasant guy.
Yeah, you're one of the few that says it's nice to see Doug Marrone. No, I'm just kidding. I do like Doug. After we lost to them in Jacksonville in the playoff game, which ended up being my last game, he comes up to me on the field. I'm completely ticked off. You've been around me after losses. I don't handle them extremely well. I can show some serious immaturity after a game, especially when we lose. But he was like, "Hey, me and the wife will contact you about the Derby this year." I'm like, when was that ever discussed, Doug? But anyways, let's move on. All right. So Jason Kelce kind of announced his retirement this week. He's going to do it formally by all indications, but I was going to ask your thoughts on him, but he's like one center you haven't taken snaps from.
You know what? What's funny, so he was on during his bye week. He came onto the Thursday night football show with us, and we had a segment where we were supposed to take snaps. And first of all, I didn't want to get under center. I don't know what that thing smells like. So I mentioned, like, I don't want to touch your grundle. I'm not going to touch your grundle. After that, he went on his podcast and was complaining about me not touching his grundle. So you know how close like the center quarterback relationship is, but we've known each other for years and have really hit it off. So I took some shotgun snaps from him, which, I mean, he can whip it back there now. You've seen Jalen Hurts' stance where he's down and ready. So I told him, "Look, we're on TV. Just give me one nice one here." So I have taken a snap from him before, but what a career he had. And I know it's not formal yet, but I think you can tell by the way that he's, addressing people and answering questions and tearing up. Like, that dude is all heart and had an amazing career.
He did, and did it without any ego. I think I met him 15 years ago when he was at the University of Cincinnati playing with some of my buddies from high school, and he's the same person now he was then. I don't know that you two, as a center quarterback combo, could, like, I don't think people could handle the amount of, like, there's a good amount of sarcasm coming from him as well, and then just the lack of ego. Like, your game day attires would just be priceless. You all walking around together. It could have been a match made in heaven. It could have been a match made in hell.
You never know. But he rocks those. He rocks the Timbs, like the work boots, and he doesn't lace them up, or he goes sandals. So I've always appreciated his style.
Do you have a house full of Swifties in your house? So you got 4 girls.
We do. Enormous Swifties. Like,
so were they begging to come to the game?
My wife, but Liza probably being the biggest one, and then the 4 girls all falling in line as well.
Yeah, my little girl Grace, in my top 5 of my Spotify last year was Taylor Swift, just because every day on the way to school, as soon as we drop Garrett off, it's, Okay, can we put on Taylor Swift? Sure, we can put on Taylor Swift. So she made it in my top 5 of my Spotify. Were your girls, similar to Grace, begging to go to the game this week for a chance to meet Taylor Swift?
So they got to go to the concert. They all flew when it was at Levi Stadium from Arizona to San Fran, San Jose, Santa Clara, wherever we're saying that is. They got to see her, so that was like the dream. They all dressed up. They had the words on the T-shirt that Liza made and the sparkly jackets. But it is, one of my daughters has been a Chiefs fan since we went to the Super Bowl when we lived in Tampa, when it was Tampa and the Chiefs. I didn't pack correctly. She was really cold. They ran out of like blankets and long sleeve T-shirts except for a Chiefs T-shirt. So we bought her a Chiefs T-shirt at that game. And since then she's been a big Chiefs fan. And now obviously, Swiftie, Kelce, even bigger Chiefs fan.
So you haven't played for the Chiefs. So this isn't a Fitz Bowl this week. This isn't a playoff game between two of your teams.
Yeah.
The AFC Championship game has the chance of it, Bills Texans, and then in the Super Bowl, Bills Bucks or whoever else in the NFC. So it's chance of a Fitz Bowl, AFC Championship and Super Bowl.
Yeah.
When was the last Fitz Bowl in the Super Bowl?
The last Fitz Bowl in the Super Bowl. Let's see. I can look back here to look at my teams real fast. Bengals. The Bengals and Rams play?
They did 2 years ago, but you didn't play for the LA Rams. You played for the St. Louis Rams.
What do you mean? I played for the Rams. We're not counting that one?
No, that is technically, but you didn't play for the LA Rams.
That's BS. Thank you. I got it right. I don't care what you say after this.
Okay. I was going to say, because I thought it was going to be a lot more recent than this, but I would have said the 2000 Super Bowl, St. Louis Rams, Tennessee Titans. That would have been like the true one.
Yeah.
And maybe any listeners could prove me wrong on that.
Dude, I'm going Rams Bengals. That was an easy question. Next.
Okay. I was hoping to get you on a technicality, but you didn't bite in on that. All right. So it's supposed to be minus wind chill Sunday. Everyone makes a big deal about how hard it is to throw the football in the cold. From a quarterback's perspective, one, what makes it so difficult? And did you have challenges? Like, let's take out the wind. I'm talking strictly the cold. How tough is it to throw the football out there?
So that's always a big conversation with quarterbacks. Is he going to wear a glove? Is he not? And even, you saw Jalen Hurts last week because of injury was going to wear a glove. And right before the game, he rips it off and can't wear the glove. I was always uncomfortable wearing a glove in Buffalo, in practice. I'd mess around with it a little bit. Because the main thing with that, the balls are harder, they're slicker, is keeping your hand warm. And it's hard to, you see quarterbacks licking their fingers all the time. So you've got the hand warmers, you get the pouch, but keeping the hand warm is the biggest thing. And so sometimes being on the sideline, not being in the flow of a game, that starts to bother you a little bit. But both of these guys playing on Sunday have proven that, the cold is just one of the elements. For Buffalo, the wind, that's a huge thing. And as you know, in that stadium, there's certain throws that you can make when it gets windy and certain you can't. Josh and Patrick can probably make all of them, but there are certain throws you want to avoid if there's, 20 plus mile an hour wind, certain sidelines you don't want to throw to. So the Bills have had the advantage in that regard.
You can correct me if I'm wrong. I've heard it's if you're looking out from the tunnel, that back right corner, the way the wind swirls, I've heard that's the toughest throw. Is that true?
Yeah, that's the one I remember where, if you're going to throw a comeback to that sideline or something, the ball's probably just going to go whoosh right into the ground. So strictly avoided that throw. I avoided that throw anyway. I didn't like throwing balls to the field and watching my ball float. But, the Chiefs especially they do a lot of those short, quick passes, a lot of attack on the middle of the field. So, I don't think it's going to affect either quarterback too much.
Yeah, you mentioned licking your fingers and keeping them warm and trying to keep that grip on there. You would generally complain about certain centers and what came off of these certain centers after they snapped you the football. Did you ever go to lick your fingers before the snap and then think to yourself, this probably isn't a good idea?
No, but sometimes I was left thinking, is that my hand or my mustache? What does that smell? So it's just, you never know. You just go with it and make sure you brush your teeth after the game.
Oh, that's filthy. All right. So did you see that the offensive line gave Josh Allen a gift this year?
No, what'd they give him?
They gave him an awesome ATV, and in classic Josh Allen fashion, it got delivered to the indoor. He hops on it in the indoor and is riding around, which it's just classic Josh. He's a big kid. Did you ever get a gift from the offensive line or the skill guys?
Brian Winters gave me some cowboy boots one year.
Nice.
I'm trying to think. I don't know, other than like jerseys or whatever. I don't know that there was anything sent my way, but man, that's a nice one. It's dangerous. I mean, we got to make sure Josh is in the off season staying on the golf course and not necessarily riding those ATVs around.
Right. He catches a lot of crap for the golf course too. I guess that custom suit I gifted you was just
Well, that was post career, but thank you. Yes, custom suit. Thank you, Eric.
no, that came after the fact. So I was thinking about this, and I had never heard you talk about getting like a big gift from the offensive line. It's funny that Josh, like, yes, the guys appreciate him, and he gives them really nice gifts each and every year that are expensive, so they want to repay the favor. But he's also a $50+ million a year quarterback. Like Brock Purdy should be the one getting the gifts, or
Right.
the journeyman quarterback, not necessarily the Mahomes, Allens that need the gifts. But I thought that was a cool gesture that, one, the Bills had the fewest sacks in the NFL this year, which makes the offensive line look really good. But Josh is responsible for a lot of that. The offensive line had a great year, but he is, I mean, unblocked defenders just generally never get, the first guy's not getting him down. So that, count that 10 sacks a year that he completely
Yeah.
avoids.
Well, you saw it with, and I don't know if it was a protection breakdown or Josh was hot, but you saw it with Patrick Peterson in the Pittsburgh game where he comes unblocked. Josh doesn't notice it till the last second, but he's so hard to take down, makes a miss, goes out of the pocket. I mean, it's pretty unbelievable. But you've seen it, Patrick Mahomes too. It's amazing. He holds on to the ball, I think, longer than anybody, or at least second, third, fourth, and he doesn't take sacks either. So these guys, they're not just physical specimens and amazing athletes, but they've really figured out strengths and weaknesses with the line and ways to get out of there, ways to extend the play. And that's been really fun to watch for both of them.
What was last year? You guys had awesome gifts among the Amazon crew. I missed it this year. If you guys televised what the gifts were this year, was there any highlights, either something you got or gave?
It was it's a lot of inside jokes, or like if people followed through the year. I mean, the most fun this year was I kept this ruse up for like 10 minutes of having to go to the bathroom so bad. And I didn't ever leave when we were in segments to go to the bathroom, but they all believed me. I drank 3 LaCroix, whatever we call it. So I run off to go to the bathroom. I get dressed as Santa and I spray paint my beard white and came back and rode out on a sleigh and delivered all the gifts. So that was probably the highlight of just, the fun ending to the year that we had.
Weren't you Santa at our Christmas party one year?
I've been Santa multiple times. Yeah. Yeah. I was in Miami as well. I didn't tell anybody about it. And I felt bad because the real Santa that was there was all set up, and it was a whole thing for the team and all the employees. And so the kids were going to the real Santa. And then I came out and word got out that Santa kind of looked like me, and they all left that line and came over to me. So I had to apologize to Santa after the party.
Yeah, you completely stole his thunder, but that's okay. That's okay. All right. So looking at this matchup, Bills and Chiefs, what do you think, the advantages either way for either team in this game?
I mean, I think obviously having a home game for the Bills is going to be enormous. The crowd is going to be raucous. It's going to be incredible. That being said, Patrick Mahomes is on the other side. So it's not like it's something they're worried about going in. I think that, their line, their interior of the line is their strength on offense, and those tackles can be exploited. So the noise is going to be a big deal. The other thing I think, when I think about this game, the Chiefs have struggled this year on offense. They really have. And, even back in October when we had the Chiefs on Thursday Night Football and talking to Patrick, he was huge, really high on Rashee Rice, and you've really seen it now this back half of the season. So he's becoming a problem. I mean, he's a really good player and has become the go-to guy with Travis Kelce. But I think the other huge thing in this game is going to be the quarterbacks running the football. It always seems to pop up with Patrick Mahomes as you get late in the season and in these playoff games, he's going to pull off 1 or 2 or 3 big scrambles on third down. And obviously that's a huge part of Josh's game as well. So that's one of the huge keys to the game, I think, is controlling these quarterbacks when they get on the ground and start running.
Yeah, and so one way that teams will combat that is a spy. Teams consistently, especially on passing downs, will run a spy on Josh Allen. They don't want to see him pick it up on third down. When you're a quarterback, and so that's one less guy in coverage or rushing, okay, you know a team's going to spy you. What are you doing to combat that?
Yeah, so it depends if it's, if they end up going with a 3-man rush or a 4-man rush. For me, if it was a 3-man rush, I hated it because I always wanted to get the ball out quick. I wanted to, be able to take advantage of the zones and whatever. And I was always trained in my mind that ball's coming out. That ball's coming out. Where somebody like Josh or Patrick, if it's a 3-man rush, you're going to see them sit back there, hold on. All of a sudden, the routes are going to change because they're going to get outside the pocket. They're going to buy time, and that's when you're going to see those big explosive plays. So I wouldn't recommend the 3-man rush. But if it's a 4-man rush with a spy, advantage to the offense because all of a sudden that's one less guy rushing and that's one less guy really in coverage. So that's something as a quarterback, if you can get, that's going to help you out in the passing game for sure.
Yeah, I've heard people talk this week, and this is something I probably should know, but besides you and I guess Tyrod was very mobile, but we like the offensive line's not getting in on the route tree specifics of how you take advantage of this spy. We were just told, hey, if he adds on, we probably need to block him unless the running back's going to be sitting in coverage. Well, James Cook had like 80-something receiving yards in the first matchup against the Chiefs, so everyone was like, well, the QB spy plays a factor into that. And so, and I could see that, but, it's also they're kind of taking away some of the crossing routes initially as well.
Yeah. And something that was really interesting, I thought all these teams that are high up in their rushing statistics, and the Bills are certainly one of them. Todd Monken was telling me this before the Baltimore game. They start the game with 40 to 50 yards rushing because Lamar inevitably, not on called runs, but scrambles and everything else is going to be at 40 to 50 yards. And now in this mode that the Bills offense is in, yes, they're giving James Cook the ball a lot more, but with Josh Allen as your quarterback, you start the game with 30 to 40 to 50 rushing yards because whether it's a designed run or it's a third down scramble, he's going to put you in good situations.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Are you going to make it in for the game this weekend?
We're working on it, man. We've got a tough lineup on Saturday with a lot of basketball games. My first and second grade girls team would be really upset if I wasn't there, coaching them up. So we're trying to figure it out right now. But if I do, it'll be the whole family. It won't just be me. It'll be everybody, all 9 of us. So
yeah. So all 9 of you. So we could see 4 Fitzpatricks with their shirts off at the game.
Yeah, you could see. Yeah, you could. I don't know. I mean, you could see more. There's no telling. I mean, my girls are crazy too. Maybe the sports bra will be on. Who knows?
Oh, that's funny. All right, last one. What's your favorite wing spot in Buffalo?
It's been a long time, man. Give me like 3. Give me 3 that we used to go to. What's the one we used to go to? Is it Gold in its name or?
So we would do
Dandelion,
Barville, Dandelions, Big Tree. Those were kind of our spots.
Yeah. Dandelion. I mean, I still remember when I was out on my visit for in 2009 to sign with the Bills. I met Alex Van Pelt at the Big Tree, and we were just pounding beers and eating wings. And I was like, I could see myself in this spot. This is pretty cool. But I think Dandelions. And then obviously, like every time we go to Mulberry, and they've got great wings there too.
I think Mulberry they might be my favorite wings in town. Joe does such an awesome job there. Quick story on AVP and the Big Tree. So the first time I walked in the Big Tree, I noticed all of these Hall of Famers on the wall, all the jerseys. And then I noticed Alex Van Pelcher's.
The
You're
Tim's
like,
up there. Yeah.
yeah. So they said the only way you can get your jersey up in here is to be a Hall of Famer or to have spent over $100,000 in here. So that was the stipulations. And there's no way that I've ever spent $100,000 in the Big Tree. But the spot that I used to like to watch football games, my last year we used to. So prior to my last year, we used to like to host people after games or after road trips. Well, then Leslie was pregnant with Garrett. We had Grace, and Leslie's like, no more having everybody over. So we would go to the Big Tree instead after road trips. And I would like to just post up in the corner where, kind of get out of everyone's eyesight and not get bugged. And so once my career ended, they put my jersey up there, and it's called Eric's Corner now. So all my buddies, when they go tailgate, they'll send me a picture from Eric's Corner. So
Dude,
I
awesome.
guess I broke the $100,000 rule there. Are you blue cheese or ranch?
Blue cheese, not a question.
All right,
Not a
good
question.
deal.
Yeah.
Fitzy, I hope I get to see you and the whole Fitzpatrick crew at the game this weekend. You need to make that happen. I think it'd be worth missing a basketball game.
Yeah, I know. We're trying to figure it out, man. There's a lot of logistics we're running through right now, but hopefully we'll be there. If we are, I'll send you a text and we'll make sure to drop by and say hi.
Perfect. I appreciate it, brother.
All right, later, dude.